Welcome to We Wine Whenever. Grab your glass and join 3 Jersey Shore housewives, Wendy, Kelly, and Lori, as they dive into everything from Bravo drama to life's everyday chaos. It's unfiltered, it's hilarious, and it's the real talk you've been waiting for, from relationship to pop culture. We drink wine whenever, and we hope you do too. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a 5-star review. Cheers! Hi, welcome to We Wine Whenever. I'm Wendy.
I'm Kelly.
And I'm Lori.
How was your week?
Pretty good. Lots of rain here. Still raining in Jersey.
Still raining.
Other than the weather, great.
Yeah, still wet and muddy. We are talking about Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 14, Reunion Part 2.
Ugh,
Yeah.
I could say.
I held off watching it because I kept seeing online, people were like, it's so boring. And it really was very boring.
Yeah,
No need for 3. No need for 3.
Well, I think we need 3 because we got to find out what happens and that Garcelle's walking off.
You know what?
But it could have been done in 2.
She walks off when they go to take the group picture. So she doesn't walk off in the middle of the reunion.
I did see that part that
at the toast.
she walks up at the
Exactly.
toast. But I feel like she walked off cursing at them too.
She said, like, I don't want to answer any more questions or, like these fucking bitches or something like that, right?
Yeah. But we didn't see that part yet, I don't think.
No.
So,
No.
I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see.
I mean, I think she just is upset that Sutton, she's been, had Sutton's back this time, all this time, and Sutton doesn't do the same for her. If it comes down to her and Kyle, Sutton has Kyle's back.
Right. I think
that's how I'm taking it.
I think you're probably right, but I want to wait and see.
Yeah.
I want to see how it plays out. I also want to see the whole Kathy Hilton thing because Andy says at some point you told your daughters you were a lesbian to Kathy Hilton, and she goes, "Yeah, for Kyle
To make her feel better.
Did you see that?
It's
No,
crazy.
I thought
Yeah.
he was asking Kyle.
No, Kathy. That is Kathy.
Why would she say that? She's not
she's
a lesbian.
crazy.
Because she's Kathy Hilton.
No, but that's dumb.
That's
not quirky and funny. That's just stupid.
This is why I like Kathy Hilton. In her mind, we have to wait and see it.
Let's wait and see.
I'm looking forward to this. I really am. So let's talk about this one. We start out with Jennifer and Kathy arriving. Kathy's getting her hair done. And did you notice the stylist, Chris, that was doing her hair was the same stylist that was talking about Dorit not paying?
Yeah, because I love his hair. I always know it's him.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself, so how real was that whole thing with Dorit? Because I don't know. I just felt like...
Well, he wasn't doing her hair.
No, he wasn't doing her hair, but I don't know. Like I said, I question that whole hairdo thing.
I think it was real.
I love how Kathy Hilton showed up in rollers, though.
I mean, that's who she is with slippers.
That's funny. That's quirky, and that's funny.
That's the best, because that would be me.
Yeah, that's who she is.
Obviously, yeah.
Walking in the parking lot with the rollers,
with the rollers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yes, obviously.
And Chris says, how are you feeling today? And she's like, oh, I'm enjoying my lunch. It's very good chicken. Chris is like, no, about going on stage. Oh, I'm excited. Like, she had no idea. What are you doing here? Oh, I'm here for the lunch. Got the good chicken.
The thing is that she just doesn't care. You know what I mean? Like, how are you feeling? Fine. I always feel fine. I'm Kathy Hilton, for crying out loud. If I go out there and say something I don't like or regret later, I'll just have them cut it out.
Yeah, right.
Right? Like she's done before.
It's great.
So they're all still on lunch break, and both Sutton and Garcelle are like, they want to go home. They're annoyed. And then back after lunch, Garcelle said, I want to say to Kyle, you told me stuff off camera just to shut me up. So she wasn't letting that go. And Kyle said,
what do you think she told her?
Well, that's the whole thing is I can only assume that she told her that she didn't want to talk about Morgan. But she could have told her something else. We don't know.
Yeah, she could have said, basically tried it out, not too sure about it, but I really don't want to talk about it anymore.
Right. Right.
Maybe that's what you said.
And then Kyle said, I told you stuff off camera that I couldn't say on camera, and I was trusting and sharing with you as a way of getting to a deeper level with you. I was trusting you, which I do think that, she did trust her by telling her that,
Or is she trying to manipulate the situation like she's done before so that people will not discuss things that she doesn't want discussed?
I honestly think it's a little bit of both.
It could be both. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
do think it's a little bit of both. Listen, Garcelle and Kyle have never been friends. They've never been friends.
No, they have
But
not.
I think part of her telling her was like, I'm telling you this so you don't bring it up on the show.
Mm-hmm.
But the other part is, I'm trusting that you will
respect.
Right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, listen, Andy didn't let it go. Andy said to Kyle, for the people at home that say, oh, wait, you're on a reality show, you're supposed to tell us everything. Kyle said, I'm not going to say something on TV that's going to hurt, for example, my daughter. I will not hurt somebody.
Bring up her daughters?
Well, I was thinking about this. She said, I'm not going to hurt somebody I love. So I was thinking this could have been one of two reasons she brought up her daughter. One is because remember I told you I keep reading all this stuff.
Yeah, about the one daughter saying things. Yeah,
but we've never found it anywhere, right?
No.
Like it's not been
I saw it a
substantiated
couple
anywhere.
of times, and then if you look into it, it's not there.
It's not there. So I don't know if her daughters had something to say about it and she didn't want it out there because of something her daughter said to her, or if she just said, I don't want to hurt somebody, for example, my daughter, because she didn't want to say the name of the person she didn't want to say.
Right.
Like, I don't know if the daughters had anything to do with it. Or if they did, because they may have. Like, it may have been like her daughters are like, Ma, like, I don't want this out there. Like,
Right.
But shouldn't you have thought about that last season before you decided to do like your lesbo video? Like what? I don't. So
Exactly.
where are you going?
Thank you, Andy, for bringing that up.
But it's almost a little hypocritical of Andy because you are letting her obviously tell you production what can and cannot be talked about because she's been on there so long that she kind of, and Kathy's her sister, that she kind of has this thing. There's a reason why all of a sudden production is like, oh, okay, you don't want to talk about that. We won't.
no, but they don't. They do talk about it. Like,
Well, I don't think she's not giving them anything to work with. She's not filming with her. She's not saying her name.
right.
So, and Andy's not aware of any of this. The editor, they start editing it, and I'm sure that's when they start reporting back. But Andy said Morgan's already a public figure, and then the music video out. That's where the rumor started of you having an intimate relationship with her because of this video.
Right.
So it's like they liked the attention when it was positive, but they only want the good attention. They don't want any of the bad attention. And listen, I don't remember this. I don't think anybody was accusing her of stepping out on Mo with Morgan, right? Like that wasn't a thing. Like that she cheated on Mo with Morgan. That was never. So it's like, I don't know. I'm not a fan of this whole thing.
I'm sick of it, to be quite honest with you.
So sick of it. And then they bring up the text again. It's like, holy shit, we're going to talk about this again?
I know. I mean, Bose even said, which I thought was odd. Bose said, it's okay to say I'm not sharing and that's it, 10 toes down. I thought that was odd because Bose was the one saying that it wasn't okay. But then all of a sudden, then at the reunion, she's saying, it's okay if you don't want to share. Well, is it okay?
She meant like, it's okay to say that, but then don't be like, but I'm sharing so much and blah, blah, blah.
I actually thought when Bose was saying, I thought Bose was prompting her to talk about the text message, never Morgan.
But it wasn't, okay. We weren't even at the text message yet.
I mean, during the season. Bose was pushing Kyle to talk about the text messages with PK.
Definitely. She was
during the season.
Yes, definitely during the season.
And then at the reunion when she said, it's okay for you to say, I'm not talking about this. In that context, she was talking about Morgan. Like, yeah. I'm saying it was two different things. Not necessarily that she was contradicting herself.
Okay.
That's how I took it.
Yeah. And then it comes up Dorit, you said Kyle has 2 sets of rules, one for everyone else and one for her. It comes up what Dorit said on Watch What Happens Live. If Kyle being close to Morgan changed her relationship, when Andy had asked her that question, and Dorit said that she felt more distant, and that upset Kyle because it brought more problems to Kyle from Morgan.
Right. That's
And
what Morgan didn't like.
right.
Right there. That
Right.
she was taking Kyle away from her friends.
Right. And that's the first where we're hearing that whole portion of it. I mean, we heard it when it happened,
Yeah.
but we didn't know that was like the underlying current of what it was about, right? I mean, how would we have known that? Then Kyle said, now looking at it from another side, like, I understand why you said that, which again, I thought that was big of Kyle to say. Initially, she was upset at her, but then she's like, wait, I understand why you were saying that because, I was spending more time with Morgan and you and I weren't hanging out, but it was when they were not in a good place. Like it all coincided at the same thing.
Well, they weren't in a good place because Kyle said that they weren't as close as Dorit
They weren't as
thought.
close, right? Because they weren't, they went on one vacation together, right? They had a different perception of what their relationship was,
Right.
and
And
then
that
they
was
had
hurtful to Dorit. So, and then she just answered a question honestly, but that was hurtful to Kyle. Like,
exactly.
why is it taking 2 years for them to have this conversation?
I know this is
Right?
I know.
Literally, this all happened 2 years ago. By now, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So then Andy asked if she thinks that the comments about Morgan, if that got her in trouble with Morgan. And Kyle admits that anytime her name is brought up, she gets anxiety. And I don't know if she was saying Kyle gets anxiety because we know she has, or if Morgan gets anxiety.
I think she was saying Morgan gets anxiety. And
I do too.
I feel bad. That's because nobody should be made to feel that way.
Yeah.
But she came on the show last season. It's like you can't pick and choose. Like, unfortunately, you're subjecting yourself to negative feedback and positive feedback. So you can't, you could just not go on the show. Obviously, that's your choice. But are you not going on the show because of some negative feedback? And this is the industry you chose to. Well, she didn't choose to be in reality TV, but you did choose to be in
the show,
and in the music industry. I mean, nobody even knew who you were. Well, I'm sure some people knew who you were, but most people didn't know who you were. So, I mean, I'm sure you increased your fan base by being on the show, which is great. And I'm sure you appreciated that.
We got some social media comments how we're absolute complete idiots that we did not know who Morgan Wade was. Everyone.
Well, I don't listen to country music. I don't know any country. I know Miranda Lambert. That's who I know.
It's okay.
And that's who I like. But other than that, I don't listen to country. So no, I'm not an idiot. I just don't really like country music. But go ahead and say something about that too.
It's all right. It's all good. Kyle said that Morgan never experienced anything like this until Housewives. And I believe that because we've talked about this. Like, Housewife fans are very passionate. Like Lori just said, they called us idiots because we don't know country music.
That's an actual nice comment.
It's fine.
Some of them.
It's fine, though. It's fine.
Like, I just got to put this out there. Ladies and some gentlemen, you take this shit way too serious. Way too serious. You got problems.
Andy said, well, it brought her publicity. And Dorit said, yeah, she became a household name, which people did also comment on our social media that, yeah, I didn't know who she was, and now I do. She did become a household name.
She did.
Andy said at what point that putting out the music video with the two of us, she had control of that. Kyle did have control of that.
Yes.
And so did Morgan. They both did. They both had control of that.
Just like they have control over going to a store or a restaurant, holding hands or whatever they're doing, and people taking pictures of them.
Well, I mean, that's living their life. I don't know that they have control of living their life. Living their life is living
over when they go places together and are seen together and are photographed together. Sure they do. I mean, I'm not saying they shouldn't spend time together, but if you are spending time together and you're in LA where there is paparazzi, this is what's going to happen. You're also putting pictures up of yourselves, visiting Teddy in the hospital. You most certainly have control over that. There's no paparazzi in the hospital room. I don't know. I'm just saying.
It's true.
I mean,
it's true.
Morgan's friends with Teddy too, you know?
Okay.
I know
But
Morgan.
I don't think Teddy and Morgan knew each other prior to Kyle and Morgan knowing each other, right?
I think they met at the same time. But then somebody on our social media said that Morgan's ex-husband worked for Kyle's husband.
The
I don't think that's
agency or something, right?
yeah.
I don't know if that's true.
I don't know that Morgan was married. Was she married?
Right. I don't know. She's so
know.
young.
She is
Yeah,
young. I don't know. I don't know if any of that stuff is true, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
that was put out there.
You know, somebody else I read made a really, really good point. And once I read it, I was like, oh shit, that's probably true because that's something I would do. The whole Kyle texting PK thing, because they said, you know, when she went back to the room at Oceanside, she's probably texting PK to keep tabs on Mo.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
As soon as I read it, I'm like, oh my God, I would totally do that. That was totally me back in the day.
Yeah, no, that was
Not
definitely
that we had cell phones and we're texting because we're old.
right.
But,
no,
you know, there
that's
were other
definitely-
avenues to explore.
yeah.
That's definitely part of her gig with PK. Oh, most definitely.
Sure.
Yeah.
Once I read it, I'm like,
I mean,
oh, that's
because
exactly what's going on.
she's putting herself underneath the wheels of the bus for a reason.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason.
Yeah.
Because she knows, and you saw her, she knows it's fucked up.
And
she
you know,
knows that
but-
everybody says that it's fucked up, and she kind of agrees. But I think she keeps doing it for that reason.
But you know
Right.
what is really fucked up? I bet you Dorit actually knows the true reason, but she's still making it a storyline.
I mean,
I'm
But
sure
don't they
Dorit
make
knows
everything
that
a
that's why
storyline?
Kyle's texting him.
yeah. I mean, listen, it is a show. They have to put something out there.
Yeah.
I mean, they show Kyle, they show the scene again where Kyle walks out of the spa party about, the texting, and, Andy tells her about the poll that they did on Watch What Happens Live, and 75% of the audience thought that she was wrong. And, pretty much everyone there, we knew that. And Kyle knew that. She's like, yeah, I know. And she admitted it. She's like, I know. And Andy even asked her, like, what if Mo and Dorit were texting? Kyle said it would bother her. And she totally understands. Like,
It would absolutely bother her. It doesn't matter who Mo would be texting. It would bother her because that's who Mo is.
Right. And then Kyle tells Dorit that she broke the girl code when she read her text to everybody at the reunion.
Two different things.
Well, listen, I think
different things.
They are two different things, but she has a point. I mean, she did break, reading her text. But the point that Dorit makes is like that you and I weren't friends at the time. And Kyle's like, yeah, that was my point. We weren't friends. So then you go and do this, and then you guys get separated, and you and I aren't talking. I mean, we weren't friends.
Well, are you really worried about following girl code with somebody you're not friends with?
There you go.
Why would you be worried about following girl code?
You're not.
Apparently not.
Yeah.
But Dorit wasn't either. Like, so neither one of them were worried about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they kind of both admitted, and I feel like they made up there. I feel like that's kind of like that's done with, don't you? Finally.
Yeah, I think so. It seems like they're going to be okay moving forward. I think Bose though, when she said it was the insinuation that Kyle and PK kept secrets for each other, that was the problem with the text message. But yeah, no, it seems like they're just going to move forward now.
I
and
think
for
that
the
they're
love
done.
of God, let's
Please
hope
do.
so.
Yeah, I think that they're done with it. I do. Bose said on the Hot Mic podcast that Kyle is a liar. And did you see Kyle's face? She's like, I've never been accused of being a liar. And Bose said, well, in my perspective, like, omission is lying.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure Kyle's been called a liar. And I'm a little disappointed in Bravo for not rolling tape, showing proof of that.
Previously.
It had to have happened at some point.
So they make up, and I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
I know.
All right, enough.
What about the text
about any
message?
of it anymore.
Oh,
Who
this is what
cares?
everybody's talking about.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Jennifer Tilly comes out. This
Yes,
we can
thank
talk
God.
about. Okay.
Yes.
They bring Jennifer Tilly out, and they just kind of roll scenes of Jennifer, and pretty much every scene of Jennifer, she's laughing.
Yelling and laughing.
Which we love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Andy asked her like what she thought, coming on this show was going to be like. And she said, well, it's really real. Like she didn't really realize how crazy it was. Like, and you could see the look on her face when she's sitting there in the midst of everything, all the chaos, all the time. She's just like, oh boy, like,
Here we
what
go.
am I doing? Yeah.
Buckle up.
Yep. Andy brings up some of her expensive items, and her LV boat bag was designed by Pharrell Williams. That was an interesting tidbit.
Yeah, that was. She did say that her ex created The Simpsons during their marriage, and that's why she got a piece of it. So
Right.
that at least
That's what
we
we're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she did say that. She also talked about, a lot of people were talking about that necklace that she wears in her opening credits, and that was designed. Cole Porter had that commissioned from a jeweler called Plateau, and it was for his wife, Linda Lee Porter, who was a famous fashionista.
Beautiful.
It is gorgeous. The necklace has been called the most important piece of American jewelry. I was like, oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, it is.
And she said that she had wanted to buy it for 20 years. When she first saw it, she couldn't afford it. And then she got really rich.
Right. Good for you, Tilly.
Yeah. Then Andy said, are the Simpson checks 7 figures a year? And she's like, I can't answer that. I can't say.
And good for her.
No, she shouldn't say. And I can't believe he asked that. Like, really?
Of course he's going to ask.
But I did like that he did announce to everybody that she does not keep any of her jewelry at her house, that she keeps it at a vault in a bank.
Yes. Thank God.
Yeah, because that happened to Kyle, right? That's what happened. She got robbed after, or was it Dorit?
Well, they both got robbed.
Both
I mean, this is
Both
kind
did.
of a common thing that happens now, you know? Then Kathy Hilton comes out with her purse, and she always comes out with her purse. Regardless of where she's going, she always shows up with her little purse.
Like Queen Elizabeth.
Exactly.
Little bag.
Exactly.
Love it.
Andy says, we got a great kick out of you at Sutton's fashion show.
Train wreck.
I
I
still
know.
can't believe that. That model, I wish he would have pushed.
In the pool.
Seriously.
It'd be great.
Seriously.
That would have been funny.
An accidental nudge into the pool would have been awesome.
That poor girl would have been shipped back up to where she came from. But
Yeah.
Kathy was trying to say she was talking to Erica's mom, but she didn't really know her name. So she said, I was talking to Mrs. Girardi. And she's like, no,
great.
that
Erica's
she's
like, I'm Mrs. Girardi.
right. She's like, Mrs. Jane. She's like, no, Jane is my state. She's like, it was just so funny. She had no idea.
No.
And she could really care less, which is even better.
Even if you told her, she wasn't going to remember.
No.
Right. Then they bring up the crazy stuff that, Kathy said. Kyle asked if she was Chinese. And she said, she's like, how did this come up? She's like, well, this woman asked her for her birth name. And she's like, yeah. And they're like, and she looked it up. They're like, well, where did she look it up? Oh, she looked it up on her phone.
Yeah.
She
And she's like, and she didn't even know who I was. Yes, she did.
Yes, she did. Because she Googled your ass.
Did.
Yes, she did.
That's what she looked up on the phone. Oh my gosh, that was so funny. And then he brought up that Kathy said that Mauricio aged badly and PK looked 56 a decade ago.
Tell you what, though, Maurizio isn't looking great.
No.
He's really not. He almost looks like a smoker where the smoking's caught up with him. Where there's like a fine line, and I should talk, but all of a sudden, like the bags under the eyes get a little bit deeper. He looks like a smoker, and I know he smokes weed, but I'm just wondering if he smokes cigarettes too.
I mean,
He just all of a sudden looks very like drawn and maybe he's partying too much. You can't fly like you're 20 when you're not.
Right?
No, you can't.
It just
No.
Because how old's Kyle? Is she 50?
Yeah, she's in her 50s.
Okay, so he must be too.
Yeah. But did you hear the way Kathy explained it? She's like, well, it's just that Kyle looks so good. Which is true.
She's right.
True.
I mean, she's not lying. She's not wrong.
No, she's not. And even about PK, she's like, well, he actually looks like better like now. Like he looked older when he was heavier.
Right.
And he was drinking. So now that he's not drinking.
He does look much better since he's not drinking.
He does. He does.
Yeah. Erica says Sutton kisses up to Kathy.
Yeah. That was on Watch What Happens Live.
She said Sutton and Garcelle, but I'll be honest, I don't see it with
I don't
Garcelle.
see that with Garcelle either. I was like, girl, what are you talking about?
No.
Yeah. Sutton for sure. I mean, we know,
Definitely.
she'll do
But
whatever she
Garcelle
has
doesn't
to.
even, hasn't gone to her party. I don't think
No.
Garcelle could give a shit about
She
Kathy Hilton.
doesn't.
She really
She
couldn't.
doesn't.
That's
No.
one thing I always liked about her is that seems like she could really care less.
Yeah.
Not important to her at all.
Right.
And Kathy says no, that they don't suck up to her. She doesn't think that they do. And Sutton says, Kathy and I are friends. We talk a lot, which I do think is true. I do think that Sutton and Kathy are talking a lot. I think that they are friends.
Yeah.
And then Kathy takes the gum out. Kyle's like,
did you see Kyle looking at Kathy when they asked about Kim?
Yes.
Like Kyle wasn't going to answer anything. She was going to let Kathy answer that question.
I don't think
It's
she
just
wanted
an
Kathy
interesting dynamic.
She didn't want Kathy to answer it either. It shouldn't have been answered. It shouldn't have been asked. It really shouldn't
have been asked. I agree with that.
It shouldn't have been asked.
But I think they handled it well,
Yeah. I do too, because again, I don't feel like the question should have been asked. I mean, Kim isn't on the show.
Right.
She's moved
Just
to
let her
Florida
be in
for a
peace.
reason. She's in Florida for a reason.
I'm sure she's probably in a
Facility. I'm sure, a rehab. Right. Andy said it didn't take long to weaponize wallets and watermelon and wood cocktails. Andy asked Sutton what was her goal in doing the friendship ceremony with the ribbon. I'm glad he asked her that, because that's kind of how we all felt, right? Like, you're doing this ceremony that everyone needs to be honest.
Right.
And then you're the one like flipping out on everybody. So she said that, she thought that they were all disjointed and maybe they could have like an angry moment and then apologize and still be friends. But she was the one who was always like prompting these angry moments and not taking accountability for anything.
Right.
Like, Sutton never apologizes for anything.
No. And Dorit brought up her beady stare. Did you hear that?
Yeah, she does have a beady stare. She give you that.
He does something with her eyes.
Look. Yeah, I told you, it's like a snake. It's like a.
Yeah.
It's a very.
Yeah, because she gets. It's like.
Yeah, she gives you a real dirty, nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Dorit was really poking her. I mean, she really was trying to get her to flip out, because Andy said,
because she goes, here she comes.
Yeah. The first time Dorit opened up to the group, you abruptly interrupted her. And Sutton, when she was talking about Jagger, and Sutton's like, well, production. I'm surprised she said that. But you guys said that when we were talking about that.
I'm surprised she said it too, but I totally believe it 100%.
Yeah. And she said, well, listen, I admit, like, I didn't know what to say. I could have done it better. She admits that, the way she did it was wrong. But then that's when Dorit's, oh, well, you're like Miss Southern manners. Like, you should know better. Like, she was really, really pushing her.
Yeah. And then she said the thing about living on a main street.
Yeah. You don't live like the Queen of Sheba. You live on a main effing road.
But listen, she doesn't have little kids. That's a beautiful house she has. The backyard with the tennis court, like, that's nice.
Yeah, but the point is, Dorit was so bent out of shape because she made the comment about her wallet, and now she's making a comment about her house. Like, I mean, seriously?
I know, it's tit for tat.
It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous.
Yeah. And then, there's Jennifer Tilly sitting there eating.
I think she was eating candy.
I love it. That would
me
be
too.
Me. That would be me. I'd have candy in my pocket, and I'd be like, oh, listen to this. Maybe love candy. I love her.
Mm-hmm.
Sutton says to Dorit, I don't need you to tell me there's more to life than a big bank account. Dorit said, I know you're used to buying people and buying gifts. And that's when Sutton said, well, who have I tried to buy? And then that's when Dorit says, oh, here she comes.
Mm-hmm.
And in the midst of all that, I don't know if you heard Garcelle and Jennifer. Jennifer says to Garcelle, I think she's on some anxiety medication.
Yeah, what was that about?
Well, I think that's what happened when she went on the lunch break. I think she probably took a Xanax, and
to keep herself calm, son.
And I think that's why Dorit wasn't really getting to her. Like, it was very
just like
Right.
Sitting there, and Dorit
very chill compared to how she's been for the rest of the season.
Right.
And then Garcelle's like, we're mic'd.
Yeah, Jennifer had a Kathy Hilton moment there.
Yeah. It was good.
That is so funny.
So good.
So then we're going to have to wait, because that's kind of really where it ends. Like we don't know if she gets her to explode because we didn't see that and they didn't give us a preview of that portion of it.
Yeah.
She did get her to do the death stare.
She definitely did.
Yeah.
She definitely did.
That glare came out.
Yeah.
Definitely. And
So
it was,
this episode. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
when Andy was asking Kyle about, because I replayed it a couple times, when he was asking Kyle about the whole video thing with Morgan, Kyle never really answered.
No, she didn't.
No, she didn't
Gave
answer.
some bullshit answer that was like totally trying to had nothing, her answer had nothing to do with the question that he asked at all. Like total deflection. I was like, oh, look at you.
Yeah.
Well, she's media trained. Let's just put it that way.
Yes.
Kyle is definitely media trained. But I don't know if you remember when the video came out and that whole storyline came out last season, Kyle was supposedly, Mo even mentioned it, she was doing a documentary about Morgan. Mo had talked about it. That's why they were spending so much time together, that they were doing a documentary and Kyle was like producing it.
Really?
Yes. So I'm saying, and even I'll be honest with you, Heather McDonald mentioned it the other day.
I wonder if it ever came out.
No, it didn't. We would have known. It definitely did not come out, because that would have been something that would have been brought up on the reunion.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it was real or if it's just not ready yet, or if it was
just got canned, or she was just
Wow.
digging her so hard that she said, oh, let me just make a whole documentary about you.
Yeah, because that's how it started. Was there was supposedly Kyle was making a documentary, and
That's
Mo.
interesting. I
Yeah.
didn't catch that.
Yeah. Did you get a chance to listen to the Bravo docket about PK?
No. I did start to, and I didn't finish it.
There's two parts. It's just crazy the amount of bankruptcy that he has been going through.
Like claiming bankruptcy personally and for business?
Well, it's all personal. Well, it is personal and business, but it started out, this is where it gets kind of like crazy. Like it started out in the UK, and he had all these debts in 2013. He had this bankruptcy case that, they wrote off all this money, and included in that was a Barclays debt. Well, the Barclays debt was actually associated to the Bellagio, because when back in 2009, he had gotten a several $1 million marker. It was like $3.6 million marker from the Bellagio. And when he was now back in the United States, he said that was written off in the UK. So it went to court in the United States, and they said they're not acknowledging the UK bankruptcy. That didn't matter. But then when they went back to the UK is saying that was covered under the bankruptcy. So it's like going back and forth. And basically, one of the things that they were talking about on the Bravo docket is that PK is very good. He works very well in the gray areas, and that's what he does. Like he just moved things around, like moves money and moves companies.
He plays the shell game.
He plays the shell game. He had, at one point when he was married to his wife, his first wife, they left the UK when they started this bankruptcy. They came to the US. They bought a house in Florida. And then they were living in New York City. He was working for the Hard Rock. And when they asked him what he did, like he was like cross-examined, and they're reading like the actual document, his questions and his answers. Like, well, what did you do for the Hard Rock? Oh, well, I did kind of a promotion thing. Well, how much were you paid? Well, it was a different thing. It wasn't exactly a salary, and there was other perks with it. He was living in a place in Manhattan while he was working for the Hard Rock, and the rent was, I think they said, $47,000 or $57,000 a month.
What?
Yeah. And then the ex-wife was in LA, and then he was in New York, and then Dorit comes into the picture, and then there's another apartment that's being rented, and that other apartment is being rented in Dorit's name. But he was the guarantor. And they were asking him, well, where was your money coming from if you were bankrupt? Like, he was never able to answer like direct questions. Like the judge would say to him, well, when you left the UK and you moved to the United States and you had filed bankruptcy, you had 2 cars when you were in the UK. Oh, yes, I did. What were the cars that you had? Well, I had a Bentley and I had a Land Rover. So where are those cars now? Well, I don't know. Those cars were leased. I don't know where they are. I mean, maybe my father drove one, or maybe my brother, or maybe the lease was up. I don't know. Like, what?
Right.
Like, these are things that he would do. When you were living in the house in Florida, like, who was living there? Was it you and your wife? Were the children living there? But the children were living in LA, and that yet you had a residence in New York. So one of the things that they were trying to figure out about these bankruptcies is where were you technically living? Were you living in the UK or were you living in the United States?
Right.
Well, I had an office in the UK, and I traveled a lot for business, but you had a residence here. And how much was the rent that was in Dorit's name? Oh, well, the rent was $16,000 a month. Well, who paid that? Well, I paid some money, but my money would go, we don't know what would go. Everything would get funneled through Dorit. Well, who else would pay for the rent? Oh, maybe my father would give us some money, or this one would give us, like, everything is like, this one would give me money, or that one would give me
Sounds
money.
like, remember that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, Catch Me If You Can?
Yeah.
It sounds
Exactly.
like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, when
Yeah.
I was
I think
listening
he's
to
a
this,
shady character. I really
when
do.
I
Must
was,
be.
yeah, when I was listening to the questioning that, was going on in these like depositions, I was like, these answers are insane.
Yeah, like, how does it, like, and when you do at least a chapter 11, what's it called? IDI. It's like a questioning. It's like not an interview, but I think it's a judge who does it.
Yeah, it was a judge that was asking him these questions.
So this is that must have been what it was. I think it's an IDI, but I forget what the IDI stands for. Yeah, so I mean, you have to provide substantive answers. Like,
Obviously not, because
I guess he didn't.
slippery snake there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the transcript from this. Okay, 2012. Very familiar with the legal proceeding. Okay, the question he's trying to impeach him on his deposition is, did you have plans when you first started working for the New York Cosmos to build a stadium? Because at some point he started working. Do you remember the New York Cosmos? They were like a soccer team. It was like a big New York City soccer team before soccer was big.
I don't even remember.
So he was working for the Hard Rock at the time, and he told them that he wasn't going to work for them anymore because he wanted to focus on this Cosmos team. So he told them to stop paying him, but maybe he would come back to them later, which, by the way, he's still working for them. Like, he still works for the Hard Rock right now as we speak.
Now?
Yes.
But the question is, doing what?
Right.
Yes, that is the
Doing
question.
what?
That is the question. Well, I do some kind of promotions. He just talks in circles. So he was getting all this money together to get this stadium. And he's like, well, it was raising money, and then, people were investing from here and people were investing from there. And, well, where's the money coming from? Well, we don't really know where the money is there. And then we have the money, and you just it's unbelievable. And honestly, it reminds me of it leads me to believe, one, that Dorit knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And Dorit is very much like that. She just says a lot of words that don't mean anything. She just talks and talks and talks.
She has to know. I mean, you can't. I know there are some situations where women aren't fully aware of the financial situations
Right.
in their households.
Right.
But when you are married to somebody who doesn't have a, Monday through Friday 9 to 5 job,
Yes.
I believe she would be aware of his,
And
How
when
he
the
operates.
antics.
when the talking about the lease in New York City, she was just his girlfriend at the time. But they weren't even married. She was just his girlfriend.
Wow.
Yeah. First house that we saw PK and Dorit in. Okay, and then they go to Beverly Hills. It's like it's just all like a house of cards that
House of
like
cards.
It is.
I wonder too, maybe that's one of the reasons why they really don't move forward with the divorce, because then the jig is up.
Well, I was just thinking the same thing.
Then the jig is up, and then she's out that paycheck. maybe with all his bullshit going on, maybe her paycheck is meaning a lot more than it used to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then if you give that puppy up, then, you know.
I know. That's what I'm thinking, that, like, you know, that's why when Sutton is asking about a forensic accountant and
It's like, fuck no.
Yeah.
No way.
That's the last thing I want.
Exactly. I think that's
Yeah.
the last thing that she wants.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the questions was, your girlfriend Dorit, like, what is her business? Well, she's a swimwear designer. She's based in New York. Like, these are all, she speaks fluent Italian. She's a very international girl. We're very close. She's amazing and supportive.
Who said that?
PK said this about Dorit during this deposition.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, because they're trying to figure out where it is he lives. So then the other thing that comes up is he has an O-1 visa. So what is an O-1 visa? An O-1 visa is a visa given out for outstanding talent in a field. It's also referred to as a visa for aliens of extraordinary ability. Right? So they're asking him, like, why did you have that kind of visa? He's like, well, I don't know. Everyone in LA has that kind of visa. That's the kind of visa you have in LA. Like,
that's interesting.
It's so, I'm telling you, listening to this could be a whole series of, like, what really went on.
Yeah.
I have to
What
listen
does
to it.
PK really do?
Yeah.
And how has none of this come out already? Although not a fan, but Camille alleged all of this at that one dinner.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. And that is probably why her and Camille are so at odds with each other.
Yeah, because Camille obviously has some kind of source,
right,
to know about
giving her this information, and it's true.
Yes, it is true. And she doesn't want it brought up because, again, that house of cards will come crumbling down.
Sounds like it's going to anyway.
Well,
yeah.
listen, you can only move the shells so many times.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can only do it so many times. But that's like we talked about last time. It's just a shame that these shows kind of attract that kind of thing. Like, you're just trying to, there are people who are very wealthy and are on the shows. And then there are people who are, I mean, think about like when Bethany Frankel talks about when she started out, she had to like beg her friends for different outfits. So she had something to change into because she was trying to make it seem like she had a lot more money than she had. And, that kind of mentality feeds into especially that type of situation with PK and Dorit to exacerbate it even more.
Yeah, I don't know. I just find it very interesting how crazy, and it's been going on a long time.
Yeah,
like, I mean,
how old is Jagger? They've been married longer than Jagger's born, right?
Yes.
It is interesting that we've never, well, I guess it's not that big of a deal, but you never even hear him talk about his older children.
No. And basically what they wound up deciding is he was going to live, his main interest was going to be wherever his children were. So his children were in the United States at that point, the older children. So that's where his main interest was, in the United States, even though he had his, like I said, office. Yeah, in 2009, he signed a casino marker at the Bellagio for $3.695 million.
So obviously he was not only or is an alcoholic, he also has a gambling problem.
Major gambling problem.
Yeah.
Because that is no joke.
No, that's no joke. I'll
Right.
tell you what, though, online gambling has contributed incredibly to bankruptcies.
Oh, I'm
I'll
sure.
just leave it at that.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I am
Online
sure.
online gambling is the devil.
Yes. I'll go with you on that one. Yeah, now it's just so incredibly easy to do.
Speaking of that, did you see the big indictment that just happened in New Jersey?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I was just
with the
going to say
Lucchese
that.
family?
With the Lucchese-
Yes.
I was
Lucchese
just
family, yeah.
thinking that, like, how interesting it is that you can, even though as legal and as available as gambling is, there's still money to be made the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
Yes,
In the
right?
back room.
And I was very surprised at that because I thought, Like, that must be kind of like a dead thing now, because you
Right.
can just go to the casino, or you could just, bet on the horses, or you could just do your online sports
Yeah.
betting. Like, why would you need a bookie anymore?
Right. I
Right.
But I
know.
guess you do.
You
Yeah,
do.
I guess
I
people
almost fell
still
over
dig
when
it.
I read that. I was like, "Oh my." And it's all over. Like I read every name. I was like, "I want to see if I know anybody." Did you
Mhm.
look at the names?
I didn't
No,
look
I
at the
did not.
names.
No, I heard it
Oh, I
on the
looked.
radio.
No, so it's
I probably shouldn't look at the names.
well, you gotta look at the names.
Yeah,
You
I'm gonna
have
look at the
to.
names.
You don't want to look at them?
Oh, I feel like I could know somebody.
Well, that's why I wanted to look at them. I wanted to see if I knew anybody. I didn't know anybody, but they're all over. Like there's people from Spring Lake, there's people from Patterson, there's a council president
I was
on
gonna
there.
say there was council person. Yeah.
Yep. I mean,
Political position
yeah.
person. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Crazy.
It's
Yeah. I
very
was very surprised.
I was too. I was like, "Oh, this is interesting."
Huh.
So we shall
So-
see with Beverly Hills Part 3. I'll be glad when it's over.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Done.
what else are we going to talk about coming up?
I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I feel like they're really amping this Garcelle departure up, and I think she just leaves at the end and doesn't take the cast picture.
I don't know though, because while they were filming, I heard that Kyle walked out 2 times.
I do remember hearing that, but
And
we haven't seen her do it once.
we haven't seen her do it once.
They haven't really gotten into the whole Mo thing though yet, with them
So
being separated and him being seen with other women. So maybe that's when she does it.
maybe. I mean,
I really think deep down she just wants her husband back, and it's not happening. I just don't know why. I don't know. I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
all right.
I
We'll
really,
wait.
it's like, because we're just going backwards.
I know. We'll wait
Right?
until next week when we talk about it, when we find out what they're talking about.
It's like a dog chasing its tail. I'm getting
Exactly.
dizzy. I'm getting dizzy.
Woo, we're going round and round and round and
Yeah,
round.
no more.
Yeah.
All right. Well, until next time, thank you for watching and listening. Please give us 5-star reviews. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.